Thank you for joining us for another of our 40 Days of Love. Today we'll be workshopping Archer's pose. We could also call it Arjuna's pose, and he is one of the two major characters of the Bhagavad Gita. I'm Atmadarshan, and joining me today is my partner in Dharmic Kshetra Yoga, and the name of our organization comes from the first two words of the Bhagavad Gita, by the way. My partner, the wonderful Cathy Prescott. Thank you so much for being our model today, Cathy. So Archer's pose can have tremendous benefits. One physical therapist I used to work with said she uses it to realign the vertebrae of her spine. It also strengthens the rhomboids between the shoulder blades and opens the pectoralis muscles. The pectorals become tight and the rhomboids become weak when we hunch or slouch, and this can contribute to upper cross syndrome, which you may be familiar with as kind of the tech neck we're seeing around us. First, we'll do a couple of warm-up movements that can also be used if you're an instructor to kind of assess how your students are doing today, their range of motion, their level of stiffness. We'll begin with shoulder rotations, placing the hands on the shoulders, allowing the elbows to drop down and in toward the center, and then inhaling to lift and open, exhaling down and toward each other. Continuing with this breath or any breath that may work. The circles can be as small or large as comfortable, allowing the muscles and connective tissue to prepare for a deeper practice. Good. And when the elbows come down and in, this time reversing direction and doing a few the opposite way. And doing one final one, letting the arms rest. So we did about 5 each direction. You can do as many as 10 in each direction if that works for your students or your practice. Next, Bandha Hasta Uttanasana, which again can be an opener but also a assessment for range of movement. Starting with the hands either down on the thighs or perhaps crossing one wrist over the other. Start slowly by lifting the arms up the front. Maybe for some people just the shoulder level is accessible, perhaps higher works, and then letting the arms come out to the side and down to form a T shape. Coming back up and then lowering the arms down the front and adding the breath. It can be inhaling up. You're welcome to look up if you wish. Exhaling open. Inhaling up again and exhaling down the front. And doing 2 more of these here. And then remembering in a practice or class situation, more can be done, again up to about 10 repetitions. A final practice that can help warm up this area and really get the rhomboids engaged is called Salutations pose, Namaskarasana. And one of the beauties of this practice is it can be done standing. It can be done from a squat or partial squat. The partial squat really strengthens the quadriceps, and a full squat is a huge hip opener. So whichever one you'd like to do. She's going to do the partial squat. The road of moderation, excellent. Let the hands come forward If comfortable, the chin can come down and there can be a sense of stretching between the shoulder blades. Now we engage the rhomboids between the shoulder blades by drawing the hands in, elbows open, chest lifts up into the hands, and the chin can lift also. Inhaling here, exhaling, reaching forward. And inhaling, the hands coming back in, looking up. Continuing up to 3 more at this time, remembering that more can be done outside of this video. When those are complete, letting the arms come down and the feet step together. Moving into some actual methods of doing archer's pose. The Sanskrit can be Akarna Dhanurasana, or you may know it by another name. We'll start with a regular version of the practice. Notice that the stance is wide and the front leg can be kept straight if there are knee issues, or more strengthening can be achieved by bending that front knee. Keeping it at above the ankle or behind the ankle is usually most helpful for those with knee issues such as myself. Also checking that the knee is not wobbling in over the big toe side of the foot too much or out over the little toe side can be useful. So one arm comes up. And since we're workshopping this, we're just going to do one side for each of these practices. For the regular practice, check that the extended elbow is not hyperextended. There's a certain softness and that shoulder is down in its socket. The second hand comes up by the first. And for this practice, you can use some resistance if you'd like. You're drawing that hand with the arrow back. And notice how the shoulder blades are coming together. The chin can lift a bit as well. And then the hand releases the arrow and comes back to the bow. Generally, the breath is inhaling to draw and exhaling to release. So doing 2 more here. Cathy is doing this to show you what a regular version of the practice can look like. Good. Now she'll show you some adaptations. Perhaps you or some of your students have shoulder issues. These are very common, and modifications can make the practice much more comfortable. Please start with whatever arm you'd like forward, whatever foot you'd like forward. Great. So again, one hand will come up in front. It's holding the bow, and the elbow is got a bit of softness. Now, if you've ever shot a bow and arrow, you're not doing it exactly that same form because you'd probably take your nose off. The hand comes up with the arrow. And this time, instead of pulling straight back, the hand can come wider, even all the way out, depending on the shoulder. And then it comes back forward. So inhaling and finding a comfortable way to bring the arm out wider and exhaling forward. And doing that twice more here. Good. And keeping the arm up here, Cathy, just showing them how the regular version looks from this angle so that a difference can be seen. Notice how that comes across and that chest opens as opposed to going out a bit more, which you'll do with the next one. Okay. Great. Other variations can work the shoulders or support the shoulders in different ways. This next option incorporates the idea of drawing the arrow. So again, one hand comes up holding the bow. The second one comes up and takes the arrow out of the quiver, bringing the hair and the arrow into position and then shooting. So if you notice, this can be a little stronger and it works the shoulder muscles in a different way. Finding a way to coordinate the breath that works for your practice or teaching will be most useful here. Lovely. And one more. Let's tire you out. Thank you. Good. A final method that can very much help address shoulder issues, and which I've seen another teacher use successfully, involves not simply drawing straight back, but letting the hand come up, or in some cases down. It depends on everybody's individual sensation in the shoulder girdle. So please face to the side there. Great. And again, either arm. So the hand comes up with the arrow. And this time, the hand just is going to move freely depending on how that shoulder feels. So coming up, down, and around could be better for the shoulder. And then the emphasis isn't so much on shooting the arrow. Good. Coming down, around, and up might also feel better. So in this practice, the shooter can be encouraged to just notice what works best for their body in the moment. While this practice has tremendous physical benefits, we've also used it for psychological benefits. It can improve focus, and it can be used with the idea of sankalpa, or resolve. In this version, the practice is a bit more mental. You can take whichever stance you want, and you'll do whatever option you wish. Now, what you can do as you prepare with the bow is to imagine that there's an imaginary target in front of you, anything like a bullseye. And in the center of that target is an image of something you wish to achieve, something you want to focus on. Or if you simply wish to concentrate your focus, you can also bring the bow hand up, and the thumb can go up as a drishti, or concentration point. So when the hand comes up for the arrow can be seen as not just a physical instrument, but as an instrument of one's will power. And then drawing back, take a moment to pause, really focus on the target, getting the mind involved with the body, and then letting go. The breath can be inhaling to draw, focusing fully on the target, and exhaling to release the will with the arrow. And doing up to 3 more here. And lowering the arms and coming to a good standing base position. And as mentioned, usually up to 10 times on each side is led. And in between the 2 sides, stopping to really feel the difference between right and left can really make the benefits of the practice concrete for the students. Also, with this last practice, noticing the effects on the mind, the focus, the concentration. This practice, as we just did it, can be also useful for those who are managing addiction or depression in their lives. At this time, if there's some other movement you wish to do to kind of loosen up from all the archer's pose, go right ahead and do that. Some people will find that since you've worked with the shoulders, the neck wants to be freed with neck rotation. Some will find that because this is a bit of a backward bend, a forward bend of some sort feels good. But again, you're going with what feels right in the moment, depending on what may have come before in your class or practice and what's coming after. If you'd like to pair this with a meditation that enhances the idea of concentration, Tratak, the concentrated gazing, can be extremely useful if you are familiar with that practice. In fact, doing this pose toward the end of the asana or postures can prepare one to be more fully present in pranayama or any type of meditation. Is there anything you wanted to add, Cathy?
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Cathy, for being a wonderful model. Thank you all for watching. And if you have any questions at all, do feel free to contact us. You can find a way to do that at our website, welcomingdestiny.com. See you again soon.